I think that they're trying to do this. So we can see the motivation here, at least, of what their wet dream is, as it were.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Now, before my computer died, I had given you a nice, eloquent explanation of the the space race with China and these incoming meteors. Did you catch any of that?
No,
I
no.
cut off before that.
No, I didn't do anything. Maybe we can kind of begin to round off on that point for the first segment and then carry on in the next one. But do finish up that point, Freeman, that you were making.
Okay, well, we were looking into Werner von Braun. I don't know, did any of that come across?
You just got cut off when you talked about basically the Hadron Collider and the technology that they are building and that we do not get to use, basically.
Right, right. Okay, well, so now we're looking as Obama is pushing forth legislation to couple NASA, which of course is a Freemasonic Nazi organization, with the DoD. We discussed that, right?
Yes.
So in Werner von Braun's enemy list that we were looking at to sustain this war mode, there was, of course, the Cold War, and we need to realize Stalin, Churchill, and Roosevelt were all Freemasons, that they are not warring against each other, they're warring against you. The next part was the terrorists, and of course we know Osama bin Laden is nothing but a prop of the American military. It's all for show. But the next step in Werner von Braun's list was asteroids.
Yeah.
Now, the idea of the asteroid, many people are looking for blue beam, and I'm saying, well, no, the next step in the list was asteroids. And so I highlighted this in my HARP documentary, when in December of '99, a meteor struck right over the HARP facility. That this meteor came in, and on January 8th, directly over the HARP facility, as if someone had guided this meteor straight at the HARP facility as they were testing it as a meteor deflection shield, as they were getting ready to make it the missile defensive shield and shift it over to Space Command at Cheyenne Mountain. Just before this, this meteor comes in and hits the atmosphere and explodes with a sonic boom. And now this is a strange note because most meteors do not create a sonic boom. And then this was followed just a couple hours later by a massive earthquake in Anchorage. So now we've got this meteor with its bright orange flash, and then a sonic boom, clouds disperse at 1,000 miles, and then an earthquake follows this. So I knew that this was going to be important, and this is why I documented it in the HARP video, was so that people would remember this time and be able to correlate it when the next ones start coming, which it appears they have begun. So what we have now is a number of reports that have come in of these massive flashes in the atmosphere. Now, no one's too certain whether or not they are meteors or not. They just know that there's a massive flash of light in the atmosphere and then a sonic boom, such as the one that hit December 29th last year in Fairbanks, or Talk, Alaska. And they think it might be a meteor, but the thing is that there was this sonic boom, and this was so odd and strange. And then it left these irregular contrails as it came in. And then on that very same day, 250 tremors hit Yellowstone National Park. So I've started to correlate this data of these incoming meteors, perhaps meteors, with their massive flashes, their sonic booms, and then the earthquakes. I highlighted it in the HARP video, and now here we got them coming again with on December 29th, got the meteor coming in, sonic boom, and then 250 earthquakes in Yellowstone National Park. And I had started to database a number of these, but I don't have them all before me at this point. I plan on putting this article together and getting that all out to everyone. But there was another one in Anchorage that came in with a 5.7 earthquake that followed. Now, you had said that you had heard as well of some of these strange meteors.
Absolutely. We had one up in southern or western, basically southern parts of Sweden. I didn't see this myself, but I talked with people who did see some kind of weird flash. And again, the thing is that it was over such a large area that apparently it could be seen from miles. And over southern parts of Sweden, this was in, let's see here, back in the 18th of January this year, obviously. And what was particularly interesting about this event that I thought was that exactly to the day 5 years earlier, back in 2004, there was a similar explosion, but over the northern part of Sweden, which kind of made this weird connection that it's something that's being, I don't know, targeted, whatever it is, some kind of experiment. We don't know what's going on, and this hasn't yet been fully kind of, brought to light. We don't know exactly what it was. Again, the speculation is that it's a burning meteor that kind of exploded, but I don't think there was any sound, though, associated with this. Again, the sound could have been over a smaller area, and then the rest got the light explosion, so to speak, but or the light phenomena.
Turning night to day is
absolutely, exactly. That was apparently what people saw, and again, I missed it myself, but this seems to be happening a little bit here and there, then, as it were.
And let me add that when I was a child, now there are a few things that I've witnessed myself personally. And as a child, when I was on the beach next to a submarine base in Florida, we're walking along at night, and next thing I know, it's bright daylight. And I'm looking around just astonished, trying to, what's going on? All of a sudden, it's daytime, and I turned just in time to see this hill, watch the light go behind the hill towards the submarine base. Now we know that HARP technology is being used for submarine communications as well. And so it's my belief that what we're seeing is like a coupling of scalar waves as they collide, and they're trying to generate this type of activity with these new scalar technologies. And at another time when when we had just announced, when America, I say we, I hardly consider myself a we there, but when America had moved the missile defensive shield to Cheyenne Mountain, I was very concerned because a missile defensive shield is against the SALT II treaty, which is the idea of mutual destruction. That's the one thing that we believe is keeping us from being blown up by these nuclear bombs, which I don't agree with. But the SALT II treaty was there, and my father building nukes. It was really in my world because he had to go back to North Dakota and take all these nukes apart again after we signed the SALT II treaty. But when they moved the missile defensive shield to Cheyenne Mountain, this was also in violation of this treaty, and because now we have a force field, now we have this this ability to defend ourselves from mutual destruction. At that moment, that night, we were driving to a missile defense, or to a missile silo. I have a friend who has a $2 million home inside of a missile silo, and we were on our way to his place. And we see what looked like a whole fleet of missiles coming towards us over the horizon. And as it flew over us, it appeared to be like the size of the Empire State Building in pieces, burning from one horizon to the other. We watched the entire event, and we were all, of course, joking how it was good that we were about to run to this missile silo where we might be safe. Now, this came on the day after we announced the missile defensive shield moving to Cheyenne Mountain, and of course I was expecting some sort of retaliation, or at least the potential of, and then these things come flying through the atmosphere, which looked like a fleet of missiles. Could have been. The news then later stated that it was a Russian rocket that had exploded in the atmosphere.
Really?
Amazing events that went down with all of that.
Really, really interesting.
And so now we're watching NASA couple with the DoD. We're watching as China in 2007 had their surprise missile test and took out one of their satellites with a missile, which is not very easy to do. And now we have this satellite collision, which Richard Hoagland is saying is a physical impossibility. Well, that we just had a large fireball come over Texas, over Austin last Sunday. And it was reported that many believed it might be remnants of these colliding satellites, but yet no, not at all. Or at least that's what the news says. But let's realize that in this idea of them moving to unify the NASA with the DoD, one of the main talks has to do with space-based weaponry, has to do with the idea of satellite protection. And now Hillary, of course, was also releasing her civil space policy on the 50th anniversary of Sputnik, and she's committed to getting this space exploration program robust and getting it going, and of course retiring the Columbia Endeavor for the discovery of Atlantis, which another rocket scientist is saying, well, if we were to strap these, tether the space shuttles together, we could get a manned mission to Mars. But what we need to recognize is their intent. And so as they start to push this legislation towards a space-based weapon act, now Obama said he was totally against all of this. I'm looking for the exact quote at this moment. He says that he was against this space-based weapons, but that it was a tricky issue of defining whether or not satellites could be used as a weapon. This is all from Reuters. Moments after the Obama inauguration, the website updated to show that they would seek a worldwide ban on weapons that interfere with military and commercial satellites. And so we have all this news coming out where they're trying to say, well, we're concerned about this satellite. We don't want to put up space-based weapons, but we just might have to. And next thing we know, a couple of satellites collide in space.
Yeah, very, very convenient, very good timing, as it were.
Exactly. And so the Space Preservation Treaty, the whole idea of Wernher von Braun's ideas of these asteroids incoming, I think this is going to play a very dramatic part in our near future.
That's very interesting. I want to talk here in section 2, as it were, a little bit more about how you think that they're potentially doing this, if this is hard technology, if they're bringing this in, and then a whole lot more topics to address as well. More Freeman coming up in our member section after this break. Go to redicecreations.com for all the details on how to tune in. We're going to continue our conversation on Barack Obama and the rest of the family and the Egyptian connection. We're going to also talk about important dates, 10/13, Friday the 13th, and July 4th as the possible next red flag. We'll talk about 9/11 and the new Freedom Tower, Pope Benedict, or Pope Ratzinger, as I'd like to call him, the Nazi connection, the Knights Templar, Temple of Solomon, and the Baha'i faith as the New World Order religion. And we round things up talking about how Atlantis recently allegedly has been found on Google Earth, and just tons of more material. So don't miss this exciting continuation with Freeman. For that, it's all about exploration of these topics, and just because again you discuss them doesn't mean that you fully are engaged in a believer, as it were. This is about entertaining the idea and see if it is rational or not. And again, what are we to say what is really going on in the world anyway? We can't even figure out world anyway. We can't even figure half of this stuff out anyway. So let's keep an
Yeah.
open mind here, people, and let's see what actually is going on. But